What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
And it's me, the OG Fit Kid, finally back on the debate after 2 months.
Back and better than ever.
He's back, baby. And our guest.
This is funny because our first guest with Tom back is Colton, who's been here for like two straight months holding down the fort for us.
But I thought it would be fitting to Tom comes back, Colton comes on.
Yeah.
Just move me over to the left here, brother. Yeah.
Well, Colton, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. It's going really good. I'm happy to be back in the guest chair here. It's always fun. So yeah, hope that seat's warm enough for you, Tom. I've definitely farted in that chair a couple times. So, but great.
Thanks for filling in for me while I was gone,
dude. Absolutely, my pleasure. Really glad to see you back. Good to have the staple back on. Oh,
yeah, dude. I gotta, since you are the guest this week, Colton, gotta talk Honor Society. You and Ace have been back with the relaunch of Ring of Honor, the weekly show. You guys crush it, doing immediate reactions on Thursdays at 10 after 10 p.m., right? On YouTube.
10 after 10 on YouTube, man. Ace and I are just having a fucking ball doing Honor Society, man. Ace, I got to put him over. He's so talented. He's great on every show that he does. It's an absolute pleasure working with him. Yeah, we're hitting it weekly. So we got the Raw Down Boys on YouTube on Thursday before us. So the first night first episode of ROH TV, we went live at 10 right after Raw Down went off, and had a few issues with our first episode, I think via StreamYard or HollerNet on one of our ends. Not 100% sure who the culprit was. But so yeah, we've been getting on there and recording things at 9 and then putting it up as soon as we finish up, which has been working out really great. And man, we're just having a blast. I'm loving the Ring of Honor product. I'd still like to see like a show open from them and maybe get a name for the show, but like I'm not going to complain too much about getting 2 hours of wrestling with absolutely no commercials. Like they pack so much into that show. The pacing of it's just so great when you don't have to pause for an advertisement, man. Like I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with it week to week, but it's been a good product, and yeah, really looking forward to this week, and yeah, just having a damn good time.
I've been enjoying it. Does it feel to you like they've kind of made their own roster? Do you feel like they're separating themselves from AEW?
More so than I thought they would, initially. Like, I mean, yeah, we're still some crossover, but like, I think just the general feel of the show, and like, I think that's one thing that gives me and Ace a good dynamic is like, I'm kind of new to Ring of Honor. Like, I wasn't watching Ring of Honor during its heyday. I've gone back and watched some, but like, I wasn't actively watching it its first go round. So like, this is really, you got Ace, who's the guru and knows everything about Ring of Honor past, and me with a new fresh set of eyes coming in. And like, I feel like it definitely still kind of has, and I mean this in a good way when I say it has that indie feel to the show. Like it definitely feels like its own product, its own vibe. And it definitely, doesn't feel like AEW 2.0, which is exactly what I was worried about. So yes, so far been really happy with it.
And Tom, before we get in, what's been going on in your neck of the woods, buddy? You've been gone a long time. I feel like the debate fans have been clamoring to hear that voice.
Man.
Tell us what's up, man.
First of all, I want to thank everybody who reached out to me over the last 2 months. If you followed my Instagram, you probably saw my mom was in the hospital. She had leukemia, but just this morning we found out she had a doctor's appointment. She's still in rehab. She hasn't even been home yet. They do believe the cancer is now in remission already. We get the official word next week when she goes for the bone biopsy, but all the prayers I asked for have helped. So that's why I've been gone. Thank you all so much for the support. Everybody here has been great reaching out and telling me take my time, but I couldn't wait to get back to debate some wrestling. So here, let's debate and let's get it on.
Well, we're happy to have you back, bud, and happy to have Colton filling in for you. And we'll rotate. We'll keep the rotation going. You guys have came to love the debate, and we're going to keep it rolling for you.
I'm going to call Colton out. Thank Colton for something. Going back a couple of months, I remember when he called the Tavern about Dom Mysterio, and I'm like, oh, the hill to Dom. I'm like, what is he talking about? I absolutely love Dom every week now. He's one of my favorite things on WWE TV. The heat he gets is so good. So, man, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, the only complaint I have is a guy stole my haircut, but other than that, yeah, he's over like Rover with me. So
he's killing it, man. Yeah, when you made that hill to die on, I was totally against it, but now I think Dom's one of the best parts of the show.
Oh yeah. He earned it, man. He absolutely earned it when he was like 8 years old.
I never thought about that. You think he stole he heard what Colton said.
Oh,
came
yeah.
on, looked at the hair, stole it.
Has nothing to do with Eddie Guerrero.
WWE. It can't be a coincidence.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we all know the rules. We got some topics to debate. You guys want to get into it?
Let's do it.
Go.
All right. First topic of the evening. Legalized gambling on WWE product. Is it good or is it bad?
Man, who came up with this topic? Okay.
Probably the degenerate gambler of the group.
Yeah.
I think it's great for the product because I think they're forced to change up the product to not make it as predictable. That's why I love it. I hope it. I mean, listen, you could bet on award shows. You could bet on other stuff that happens on TV. Why not wrestling? Why not? And I think that they're going to be forced to keep it closer to the vest. We're not going to know as much stuff. And I think they have to change it up. Things that used to be predictable, if it's going to be costing companies money, they can't make it the same. It can't be the same. So I'm excited for it. I think it should be an interesting take on what's going to happen. I think Indiana already approved it. Somewhere already approved it, right? I think it was.
I believe so. Yeah,
I think Indiana approves any and all gambling pretty fucking quick. We don't let people do much other than horse betting or gambling on slot machines that are owned by Churchill Downs in Kentucky. So everybody goes across the river to the fucking boat.
No, I absolutely love it. I think it's a great idea. I hope they have to keep things tighter to the vest, and it can't be as predictable if you're going to be betting on it. If it's going to be costing people money. Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it to New Jersey. I'll tell you a quick story. I got banned from BetDSI overseas for betting on WWE because they had I would just hit it was so predictable. And they had two huge dogs one night, and I bet $100 on Sasha Banks to win. Hit that one for $500. Then it was a plus 900 later in the show. I put the whole 500 on it. Hit that one. Next time WWE had an event, I couldn't bet on their site.
Oh man.
Of course, Tom would have some offshore overseas betting site that he's betting on.
Some black market betting.
Yeah, Tom's on the dark web betting on WWE.
Money into it. What does that tell you?
Yeah, there's no dark web, nothing dark web about old Bet's DSI, man. They used to advertise on Stone Cold's podcast.
Yeah,
He had a promo code for him. I'm with Tom. I think it's a good thing, kind of from a different perspective. I didn't even think about them having to make it a little bit less predictable. I was thinking like, man, I'm usually pretty good at predicting what goes on in WWE. Maybe this will make me a rich man. But yeah, I mean, I don't see. I'm kind of racking my brain all day to see the other side of it, and I really don't see a bad side of it, man. I think it also potentially could, get some more casual fans with more eyes on wrestling. You got some guys that are sitting out, on Vegas betting on anything and everything because they are degenerate gamblers, and get a little bit more eyes on the product that maybe weren't there before.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL is only as popular as it is still because it's the biggest gambling thing in the world, the NFL. So imagine there are people betting on the XFL.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good, and I think it's good for another reason. Put your money where your mouth is. I think that's a big thing. Is all these super fans that, I know what's going to happen. Okay. Put your money where your mouth is. Go bet on it. I think it's great. I think it's great for the product. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I do like to bet myself, so it might be a bad thing for me. But
Sneed's all in on WWE.
I get that, like, the Oscars have their betting, and you can bet on almost anything now, it feels like. But it honestly worries me. I don't think it's necessarily bad for WWE. But it worries me how they're going to handle their booking. Like, when you have long-term booking in play, how does that work? I'm not saying they can't do it, but how are they going to, is it going to affect long-term storytelling? Are you going to be like, if you have something that you're building towards, one, you're going to have, like you said, Tom, if you're going to have to play it a little closer to your vest, that means less people are going to have to know. So, like, the outcomes are going to be, they're going to have some sort of security type of system where there's no leaks. So that's, how are they going to do that? Two, like, I get if, say they have a long-term story in play, and then someone organically gets over. Something happens where I feel like it's going to make it trickier for them to book by the reaction of the crowds. It makes it harder to pivot. I feel like unless you're just doing day of gambling, maybe. I don't know. It seems like it could muddy up booking to me, and maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it's just all day of gambling. You get your matches for the week ahead. You place your bets. All's fair. Nothing to worry about. But it just seems like when you start putting money on shit, anytime there's money on the line, and not just money for the company to be made, but now people can gamble on the product, it definitely opens up shenanigans. You're opening up. Look at the NBA, man, with the ref going rogue and throwing games years ago. And when there's money to be made, people will try and fucking grease the wheels and do shady shit to make a buck. Like, are we going to get wrestlers or backstage writers politicking for shit because they have money on this or that? Or I mean, if we're talking, like, everyone's thinking like, well, they're going to set the story, you're going to lay your bets down, and then the story's going to go off without a hitch. What if all the money comes in on a story that WWE has booked that story to happen, and then you get a wrestler in the ring who has buddies who's betting on him, and he somehow fucks that match up? Or you get some sort of Montreal screw job where the wrestler's in on it because they have money on the line. I'm not saying that's going to happen, because they'd probably lose their job over that. That would be a very dumb thing for a talent to do, or a ref to do, or anything. But when you have money like that and people are placing these big fucking bets, to say that there were no shenanigans, it's all going to be, everything's going to go off without a hitch. There's always people trying to weasel and buck the system of gambling. I mean, that's kind of a tale as old as time. Do you guys not think anything like, do you think of that, or do you think it's just like, I'm overreacting to that?
No, it's actually an excellent point. I didn't even think of it until you brought it up. Of course, you always change my mind when I think about things, but let's look at Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens against the Usos. Here's the story that's been built up, and we're all thinking it's going to be Sami and Kevin to finish the story, and what a happy ending. They're best friends when the tag team titles, and everybody goes all in on that and bets on that because, oh, this is so predictable. Like, is it going to change the way, like you always say, Chad, sometimes predictability is good. That's the ending we want for this. That type of shit up. I didn't even think of stuff like that.
Like, case in point, like what you say is it will be good from it. And I agree. I think there will add an element to the booking of, we want to be a little unpredictable to help the betting. We don't want to just but there's a bad side to that. Like sometimes are they just going to be, is it going to affect booking outcomes because they don't want to do the obvious thing? Like you just said, Tom, what if, predictability is a good thing sometimes? What if the thing that should happen, they're like, this time let's go the other direction?
Yeah, it definitely gives a talent going into business for themselves a whole nother fucking meaning. Like I did not think about it like that, man. Like, yeah, that's a whole nother layer I didn't anticipate. And I will say one thing, like with this, if this goes forward everywhere and this becomes like a pretty, generally accepted thing, nation and worldwide, one thing I don't want to see is like the odds running on a ticker on the lower third of the screen on a WWE programming. I want WWE to pretend like, well, I want the fourth wall there. Like they don't know this is even a thing. I don't want to see that shit on the pre-show. I want to still be able to exist in a world where it doesn't exist unless I want to participate.
I think it should be just like NFL. I don't think they should have any involvement in it. They shouldn't have any.
It should be an independent body that comes in.
They should not a fucking thing should change about their product. They shouldn't be thinking about anything that's happening in the gambling world. Yeah. That they should never be thinking about.
But think of all the leaks. Think of all the, like, you almost couldn't, like, when does the talent know? When you're going into a match, how soon do you know the finish? And not to say, like, there's been tons of times where talent, the ref gets radioed and they have to do an about face and change the finish mid-match. It's not like that's that's never happened, but still yet it does throw a lot of kinks in, like, how many people know now? Because Sneed, like, people, they shouldn't change the way they book in a way. Like, they shouldn't be doing what you said, Tom, and being like, let's just be unpredictable to fucking manipulate the line. Part of me is like, that shouldn't be, if you're wanting to be treated like a sport in the betting world, like something you can bet on. It's like the Oscars. I don't feel like the Oscars are paying attention to the betting line and being like, let's not give it to her. There's money coming in. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I mean, they're going to have to do, obviously say everybody thinks Zayn and Owens are going to win. They're going to have to be huge money line favorites to try and get the money the other way, And then, I mean, I don't know.
But leave that all to the betting world.
Yeah, I mean, set by a booker somewhere. It can't be set by WWE, by an odds maker. But like, what would you even put a line on Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns? Like, I feel like that line would almost be even at this point.
I would say it's a pick 'em.
Yeah,
it has to be.
But it's definitely a pick 'em because you've got people thinking Cody's such a kind of the obvious pick that you start, is it? Maybe they go the other way,
And now all of a sudden we're hearing Roman's going to be taking a break after Mania. He's not going to be around. Here's another thing. How does this affect dirt sheets if they can't get dirt anymore?
What is it? You broke up for a second.
How does this affect the dirt sheets if they can't get this information? Like, we're hearing about Roman Reigns disappearing for 4 months. I would think all of this stuff is going to have to start disappearing from the dirt sheets as well.
See, but I don't think they can control that.
Yeah.
The dirt sheets exist because there's moles in companies that will talk, and everyone acts like these are just low level people. I think there's bigger people going to dirt sheets than what fans think.
For sure. Definitely.
It's good for the business. They want to act, people like Bruce Pritchard and Eric Bischoff want to act like, no, it's not. It fucking absolutely is. It gets people talking, and I'm sure there's higher ups in every fucking company talking to dirt sheet.
I wouldn't put it past Bruce Pritchard being a guy who talks to dirt sheets.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you don't think Vince McMahon has ever said at a point, hey, leak this so we got people talking?
100%. Yeah, dude.
Of course.
He's probably still saying it.
Yes.
And that's a thing, too. Like, you say, like, we need to put a lid on shit, where the dirt sheets won't find out. It's like,
it ain't happening.
It ain't happening. So, like, dirt sheets are going to affect lines, too. Like, if they're reporting, hey, we're hearing that, I feel like it's going to do the opposite. It's going to make a new type of dirt sheet where guys are just going to be trying to break shit for the gambling line. They're going to essentially be like the Vegas. They're like breaking news and shit.
But here's the thing: they had going into this and even attempting or wanting to legalize gambling on WWE. These guys aren't going to get into it without knowing all of this going in. So they have to know that these dirt sheets are out here. They have to know they exist. I mean, they're taking a gamble on it that nothing's going to change.
Well, I mean, they did hire a legit firm that has done this for the Oscars, and I forget the name of the firm. Me and Ace talked about it on Wrestling Tonight. So they're not just flying by the seat of their pants. So they're going about it the total professional way. So
what about this? All of a sudden, somebody pays off the dirt sheet to leak something to get the money going the other way.
Exactly.
I mean,
you're going to get a lot of bullshit shenanigans in the dirt sheets where they're manipulating the line from just to. I feel like you'll get the ringside newses of the world that will be just reporting without any moles or sources. They're just going to be running false reports to change lines like that.
Yeah, and if you're gonna dive deep into it and try to get inside information for your betting, then that's on you. You have to be a smart bettor. You have to be a smart bettor to know what you're reading.
I think that's why it's a dangerous game for the bettors, for the gamblers and everything you're going to be reading is going to have a new sheen of bullshit to it. Like you're going to have your bullshit detector on high alert because everything's going to be like, are they just reporting this because of the line that's on it, the money that's on it?
Me and Sneed are going to start a gambling tip show for all the WWE gamblers out there.
I mean, that's a big thing, though. I mean, the people that are going to be that I think will have the best handle on what's happening are the people that are following the product, not the people that are following the dirt sheets.
Yep. I agree.
People that are following the dirt sheets are kind of fucking themselves, honestly.
So true.
Yep. All right. Anybody have anything else to say before we move on? All right. Let's bet. I'm for it though. I do want to bet on some wrestling.
Yeah. I feel like it's inevitable. I mean, but you can bet on everything. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. All right. Second topic of the evening. Who should main event night one of WrestleMania? Sammy and KO versus the Usos, Charlotte, Rhea Ripley. Where should we go with this? Colton, this was your topic, so I'll defer to you, let you go first.
Okay. So I know we've all probably seen it going around that there's rumors that there's some political motives going on, that it looks like it's probably going to be Rhea and Charlotte doing the main event for night one instead of Usos versus KO. I got to be honest, man. I know I brought this topic, but like I'm not really hot about it at all. I'm totally fine if KO and Usos are not the main event of night one. I said a few weeks back, I think it was debate 122 or 121, I think, when we had Toe on from Knuckleheads podcast. What do we want to see? Do we want to see Jay versus Sammy, or do we want to see KO and Sammy versus the Usos? And I said then that I think that this match is a fucking Monday Night Raw match. This is not a WrestleMania match. I mean, I think it's going to be good and it's going to be fine. I'm going to enjoy it, but I think that there's a lot more meat on the bone, or I was hoping there would be, between a Jay versus Sammy story instead of this. I don't really want to see KO and Sammy with the belts. It really does nothing for me. I was hoping they would be off the Usos by this point. I don't know. I'm just not very excited about this storyline, and I know it's changed too. I was talking to my friend Doug. He texted me the other night, with after Raw, and he's like, "So does it change your opinion now that you know that like KO and Sammy are pushing for it in the storyline? They want it?" And I was like, "Not really, man. I mean, Chad, I think you said it best when we were talking about it a couple of weeks back. That like, I feel like I like that KO and Sammy intersect still from time to time, but I don't want to see them chained to each other. I don't think either of them achieve their full potential when they're linked up as a tag team. So, I mean, I think it's fine either way. I mean, I'm totally fine with it being Rhea and Charlotte being the main event for night one, because, I mean, if you want to break it down just to brass tacks, take who's in the matches away. I mean, the women's title is a more prestigious belt than the tag team titles, and especially, you know, for as relevant as the tag team titles have been, you know, for especially the last few years of WWE. I'm going with Rhea and Charlotte.
Wow, we got ourselves a debate, because I don't know how this is the biggest tag match we've seen in WWE in God knows how long, 10, 20 years. Like, this
Whoa.
built so big. This story is one of the best stories. The whole bloodline story extending to this is just so amazing. I think it hurts the card if Sammy and KO don't main event versus the Usos. I think you got to have the match everybody wants to end the show. Like, and you're going to have that, again, going back to the gambling thing. We're all expecting that feel-good moment of Sammy and KO ending, like, winning the tag titles here. Best friends that we've seen the whole story, all the bullshit between them, hating each other, liking each other. I think it's got to end the show. It's just too big of a story, the way the time that's been put into this, like the months and months and year of booking with Sammy. Like, this has to end the show. To me, this is the no-brainer. And they're talking about the political shit. They just, you know, it's the world. We're living in a world where you need to have the participation trophies. We need to, you know, have the women get their due. No, in my opinion, you have the best story end the show. It should be, if you've earned it, then you get to end the show. And I think Sammy and KO versus the Usos have earned being the main event in night one.
Yeah, Tom, I think I agree with you on I agree with you on this. I think that they should main event night one. Now I'm with Colton though, because I don't think that this should have been the match. I was all in on Sammy and Jay. I think we all said that this match shouldn't have been the match. But as far as story and what people want to see, and the nuclear pop that they got when Sammy and KO reunited, I think, you know, it I get it. I'm not a big fan of it either, but I think just looking at it from booking and all that, I think Sammy and KO, I think they should main event.
Man, this is tough for me, because I don't give a shit about either of these matches.
I don't want
Like, I love Rhea. I love what they've done with her. Out of all of these participants, the Usos, Kevin, Sammy, Rhea, Charlotte, the two most interesting people who are the most over out of all of these people for me is Rhea and Sammy. Okay. But Rhea and Charlotte, who gives a shit? Yeah. But then on the other hand, I don't give a shit about the Usos. I don't give a shit about KO. Man, it's tough, because the fans, I feel like I'm just not clicked in with it. Like, maybe I should like it more than I do, because I do think that fans want the Sammy KO thing. Fans want that story. So just based off of that, I feel like the big story does deserve the main event. So it does seem like anything Sami Zayn Usos bloodline should probably be in that spot. Definitely more than Rhea and Charlotte. But at the same time, I feel like this KO Sammy thing, it did nothing for me when they hugged. Nothing. How many times has these guys flipped and flopped and hated each other and then hugged it out and had each other? It was gonna happen. This is the most. People always talk about how they Big Show, they flipped him and flopped him, and then, you know, to the point where you didn't care if he was a bad guy, a good guy, heel, babyface, whatever. That's how I feel with Sammy and KO. They've been together, apart, been together. I know this is a new storyline, the Bloodline storyline, but they've done that so much with these two guys. I don't give a shit. We all saw it coming. KO hugging Sammy. It was so obvious that it didn't elicit anything from me, because I knew 100% it was coming, and I know predictability, I always say sometimes it's a good thing. We all knew it was coming, but that wasn't good predictability to me. It just seemed like rehashed shit. Now with this wrapped up in a little bloodline bow that supposedly makes me, I'm supposed to care about it more because it's with the bloodline now. Like, I don't care, dude. They've done this so much. So story alone, just because the fans, the Fed brain fans out there love bloodline, throw them in the main event, I guess. But because they've done nothing for Rhea and Charlotte, I don't care about that feud either. So I'm kind of in the middle. Like, storyline wise for the Fed folks, I guess give it to the bloodline story.
And listen, the best main event, let's get Sammy versus Rhea. That would be the best.
Sign me up. That sounds awesome. I mean, I don't know. I think the way that I'm taking this, Tom, is that it's because I didn't get the payoff I wanted. Like, I just don't give a shit about it being for the tag titles. I think, it's night one of Mania. Everybody knows that night 2 is the bigger night. Like, I mean, I wish it would go back to one night, period. But I'm not going to get that wish. If it was Jay versus Sammy, I would all day be like, there's no fucking contest. No, there should be no other main event. But the fact that, I mean, yeah, take the storyline away. When have the fucking tag titles ever main evented a WrestleMania?
Sammy and KO aren't a tag team. Right. How is this the biggest tag team match in the last 20 years? They're not a fucking tag team. They're two singles guys. They don't have a tag team name. Their fucking gear don't match. Why should I care about these two dudes? Oh, because they're buddies? Who gives a fuck?
I mean, the one thing that annoyed me watching this whole story was Michael Cole in the beginning acting like they had never broken up before. Like he was like, "Oh,
it's ridiculous.
These two are in each other's weddings. These dude, they've already feuded. What are you talking about?"
Dude, Jay versus Sammy or Jay versus Jimmy, are instantly better, more intriguing matches to me. Yeah. I just don't care. Like, why is KO even involved in this? Like, he seems like an after. Why is he? The bloodline has swallowed up some of their best performers for the last fucking 2-3 years, man. Time to end this. Let these guys go do something else. I'm over the bloodline.
I mean, I read the one thing today online somewhere that said, what if Sammy comes out and helps Roman win night 2 and it's all Rouge to help him get over Cody? And I'm like,
bet on it.
That would be wild. And we could have that storyline, Tom, without this fucking tag matchup.
Yeah.
We could do that completely without having this at all. Like, the reason I'm with you guys, they haven't done really much of anything. And what they have done to build the Rhea Charlotte storyline hasn't been great. I'm taking the hard line though on I want Rhea and Charlotte just because I want to see, this is Rhea's first big return, or her first big moment in a big singles match since, she's been she's not been on the shelf, she's been on TV, but as far as in-ring goes, she's been on the shelf for a while after that injury. And she's one of my favorite in-ring performers in wrestling today. I'm excited to see her fucking whoop that ass and take that title. And this be the beginning of just pushing her to the fucking moon.
Bet on it.
Let's go.
Bet on it.
I'll do it. I will bet on it.
To be honest with you, I'll go a step further and pull back a little bit. Pull back away a little bit. I don't give much of a shit about wrestling anyway. Mania doesn't really mean shit to me anymore.
Yeah, it's so tarnished to me by the fact that it's 2 nights.
The 2 nights thing,
it fucked it up for me. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
I agree.
So when you say main event night 1 or night 2, like, are you main eventing WrestleMania or not?
It muddies it. It muddies it,
dude. I don't like it.
I totally understand why they did it first year of the pandemic. You find out after planning this big giant event all fucking year, we can't have a crowd. Okay, let's give the fans a consolation prize. They're all stuck at home. They can't do shit. Let's do 2 nights. But that should have been the only time we ever did it. Like, it shouldn't. Maybe the next year. And I know that Philly's already booked for 2 nights, and I think that fucking sucks. Like, trim the fluff, man. Like, I don't need. I mean, what's it going to be with pre-shows involved? It's going to be 10 goddamn hours of wrestling in 2 days.
WrestleMania used to have such a prestigious feel. Even when I wasn't watching wrestling as much as what I always did, WrestleMania always just had that big night feel, and it just doesn't have that anymore.
It feels like a corporate money grab to me now.
Yeah.
Like it feels like a corporate money grab. Everybody gets a trophy. It's like I'm at a fucking Oprah show. You get a car and you get a car. Every wrestler gets on the card. It's like, dude,
Oh, you should earn it. You should
earn that. It should be the best of the best. And now we're like, I don't know. I know Triple H has said he wants to trim back the cards, which I hope he does. I hope he trims the cards back to one night.
I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it can't be back to one night,
it's gotten to the point now where we're debating over a tag team who's not a fucking tag team, and Rhea and Charlotte, who has not much story.
I'll be honest, man. I think Rhea is more interesting and has more meat on Dom's storyline.
I agree 100%.
Like she's getting more play in Dom's storyline with Ray than she is in this championship match she has coming up at Mania. It doesn't make sense.
I say this, like, if you continue with these 2-night Manias, we're never going to have a great Mania again. Look at last year's Mania. Night 1 was great. Night 2 was meh. It was nothing great. So, like, you're either gonna it's just ruining Mania. I agree 100%.
Like, imagine for a second that this was a one-night Mania and you have Cody and Roman at the top, which I'm excited for Cody and Roman. I think it's going to be a spectacle. It's a big match feel. And then you've got this tag match with the Usos and that's a great marquee match on your undercard where you're like, fuck, this has story. It takes me back to those WrestleMania 10 where you had the Michaels Ramon ladder match, and didn't you have Bret Hart and Owen Hart facing off? You had all of these matches down the card that had these little meanings and storylines to them. Now it's just like so broad and nothing. Like even Bianca right now, her match, who gives a shit? They've done nothing with Bianca.
Yeah, Brock and Omos, like,
I mean,
really?
come on.
Then they're shoehorning 2 4-way tag team matches in for a men's and a women's that are they're just obviously doing it to get it on the card, to get these guys on the card. That's not what Mania should be. Mania should have every match meaning something for every person that deserves to be there over the last year.
Almost and Brock has a very Taker Giant Gonzalez feel to it.
Exactly what I was going to say, man.
Great comparison.
It really does. It has that vibe. Like, oh, it's Undertaker, but yeah, he's wrestling fucking Elegante. Come on. Like,
well, we just need Harvey Whippleman to come back.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm so bummed that it's a 2-night thing. It takes the steam out of it because it's like you sit down on a Saturday with your buddies and you're all jazzed up. You got your brews, you got your hot wings or whatever food you sit down, you finish it. It's like, oh, you guys coming back over tomorrow?
See you tomorrow.
Well, it's like, I don't know. It's overkill.
Hey, listen, it's the Super Bowl. This year we're going to have the first half on Saturday and the second half on Sunday.
You know what I blame? A little outside of the corporate money grab and them just wanting more money. I blame all of those fucking fans out there that whine and fucking complain when there's a long pay-per-view. It's too long. I gotta go to bed. Well, now they've split it into like 2 4.5-hour shows instead of. I would rather have 7 fucking hours on one night than have to give up 2 of my nights.
You're giving up your whole an entire weekend.
Yeah, an entire weekend of this shit.
The whole Mania weekend doesn't feel special. It used to feel special when you would have the NXT show. Then you'd have the Hall of Fame getting its own ceremony on Saturday night. Like, it's just tarnished the whole weekend. It just doesn't have that same feel.
Are they doing an NXT show for WrestleMania weekend?
I think so.
Fuck, man.
Are they stand and deliver? When is that?
I don't know. I know I've heard it. I don't watch NXT, so
I don't follow that product.
I don't follow it at all. Ever since I went to 2.0 and got the fucking Nickelodeon splash logo, I was off.
Yeah. Ever since they have Mark Summers booking the leaving Double Dare and What Would You Do to go book NXT, I left.
Yep. It is brought to you by BK Knights, though.
Slime port on the end of at the end of the match, just terrible.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I got a fucking job. Like, giving up a whole weekend's tough.
Well, We got the ROH show on Friday. You know that's going to be. There's no way it's not 4 hours. Like it's going to be damn near close to it. And
the other thing it's going to be amazing from bell to bell.
It's going to be so good, man. I mean, every ROH show, me and Ace keep saying every week, all the ROH pay-per-views we got last year with no build whatsoever were incredible. Now they've had 5 weeks of fucking TV to build this. It's going to be it's going to be a sleeper for the entire weekend, man. I think it's going to surprise a lot of folks that haven't been keeping up with it.
It might take the weekend, honestly. There's that possibility as far as entertaining value.
Yeah.
If Rhea does not win that match, wow.
What a waste.
Yeah.
Bet on it. Rhea to win.
Bet on it.
Yeah, but if gambling's involved, they might try to fucking swerve you just to get that money line, like, oh, everybody's betting on the sure thing.
Yep.
Hopefully they don't have hands in each other's pockets. They probably will, though. All right, guys. Anybody have any final thoughts before we move on to the final topic?
Nope.
Good?
Yep.
Let's go.
All right. Let's move on to the final topic of the evening. Are fans overstepping their boundaries by asking for autographs in public places like airports, etc.?
Man, I commend Rhea Ripley for her tweet this week saying, I'll sign something if you come up to me in the airport, if it's a picture of me and you together, but if not, step the hell back. Because when you have those people coming up to you in the airport with just a stack of shit to sign, get the hell out of here. What are you like? I've bumped into people all over the place. I won't go up to them if they're with their family, if they're eating dinner. You just have respect for them. If you really like these people and you're a fan of them, why would you impose when they're trying to get home and they're in the middle of an airport? Like, no way. No friggin' way, man. What is it? Britt Baker. There's the clip of her in the airport with the people coming up to her. She's like, oh, I'm doing a signing later. Meet me there and I'll sign them there. Yes, thank you. That's what you do. Back the hell off if you see them in a restaurant, if you see them in the airport. Like, you're stalking them. If like now people are catching them in layovers. Like, come on, you're stalking them if you know where they're laying over in between flights.
How do they know this stuff, though?
Yeah, and I mean, you obviously know it definitely gives a stalker's vibe, Tom, when they if they've shown up with a pile of shit to sign in an airport, like that's premeditated 100%. Like, I don't know. I get like if you are behind a wrestler in, the fucking security line at an airport and like you just say, oh, hi, I don't think that's necessarily overstepping, but like, yeah, I mean, I was behind. I mean, Al Snow lives here in Louisville. I see Al Snow all over town all the time. I've never spoken to him. I don't think he wants to be bothered. I was actually right behind him in the airport security line at Muhammad Ali International one time. And I didn't say shit to him because I was like, dude's obviously traveling for work. He doesn't want to be bothered. He's looking at his phone just like I am. I just turned around to my brother-in-law. I was like, hey, that's fucking Al Snow right there. Like, that's what you do, like it's especially with the opportunities that we see. Like, I don't know. I feel like when I was a kid, there weren't all these fucking WrestleCons and shit where you could book a meet and greet and get your shit signed. So it was a little bit different back in the day. You happen to catch a wrestler out in the wild. That's kind of a rare case. But like now, like, dude, anybody that's got half a name's doing multiple signings a year. Like, get your shit in when in the proper forum.
Yeah, I agree. People that are showing up to airports with, there's people showing up with cardboard, like with things taped to it for them to sign. Like, these guys are just trying to get from point A to point B, and you're harassing them in an airport, which nobody likes. Like, I hate flying. Like, I can't imagine flying for, always and having people come up to you constantly with stacks of shit to sign. I know the Young Bucks have their airport signature that they do for people, which I think is great that they do an airport signature. Like, you're not getting a good signature from them.
Right.
Like, when they do their signature, they're not, you're not getting a good signature. But I think it is kind of overstepping their boundaries to get stacks of shit signed. Now, if you're asking for a picture, I don't know if that's so much overstepping your boundaries, because I think part of it comes with the territory. You are a public figure. You are going to, people are going to recognize you and people are going to ask for pictures. And if they're genuinely a fan, I don't know if that's so much overstepping, but overstepping for sure when you have stacks of shit that you're obviously putting on eBay, that's definitely overstepping.
No, I agree 100%. It's like when I ran into JR in West Virginia. He was walking out of the restaurant at that time. I wouldn't have went up to him if I saw him eating. He was done with his meal. He was leaving. He was chatting with the people behind the counter. But you don't do it. You don't go up to a guy in the middle of the meal and say, "Can I take a picture with you?" You have to give respect. There's ways to do it and there's ways not to do it. And like I agree with you, Steve. If you're a genuine fan and you see someone, yes. Also, if I'm in a Starbucks and somebody's in line in front of me, I don't want to be the guy to start. That's a whole nother thing. I don't want to be the guy to start them getting swamped by a whole bunch of people. So that, like, if they're alone, I feel a little more comfortable, but you don't want to, like, I feel different if it's like all of a sudden they're going to be swamped by 25 people and then they can't get out of there. And I don't want to be the one to start that either. So yeah, I definitely think there are do's and don'ts. And if you're a true fan, I don't think there's asking for a picture is fine. Like Rhea said, if you have a picture of me with you and you're a real fan, sure, I'll sign it. You're not here to meet me, bring in 10 figures with you, or not even 10 figures. You're bringing folded up boxes for me to sign. Like, do you see people are now like bringing boxes folded up and taking the stuff out so they don't have to carry it all? It's like, no, man.
That's fucked.
And literally, they're standing there with a signature and they're signing and they're pulling it away, signing, pulling it away.
Yeah, you too get it if you're doing that.
Those guys, because it's always guys, no female, whatever. It's always a bunch of fucking nerdy dudes who like sit in their basement and jack their dicks. I mean, these guys are literally dick jackers. Just literally, that's all they are, man. They're carrying
fucking dick jackers, man.
They're carrying their boxes of figgies or whatever they're getting signed. They're losers. And they're just trying to make a buck off of a signature. Those guys, fuck them. But everybody else, all the real fans, as long as you're going up to these people, like Tom said, with respect, not when they're out with their family. Like, you have to pick and choose when you approach people. 100%. I've always been a very standoffish person with people. Like, I feel weird doing that. It really takes a lot for me to walk up to somebody. But
what's like when we saw Matt Hardy?
We didn't go.
We did not.
He was by himself in the parking lot outside of Daly's place. We sit in our car like a bunch of dick jacking weirdos watching him, and we didn't have the balls go up
because we didn't want to be that guy.
We didn't want to bother him. You know what I mean? Like, there is a lot of that. But having said that, if you're a respectful fan, that's part of the game, man. Like you said, Steve, when you are a public figure, if you're just getting upset, people come up to you, then you're an asshole. Yeah. Like you are getting paid to be on television. You should respect the real fans. And I think Rhea spoke to that. Now, these people that's like, I'm only going to sign a picture if it's me and you together. Now, I think that's kind of like drawing rules. Now, if you just have like one piece of memorabilia and you're a real hardcore fan, I don't know. I think the difference to me is the boxes of shit. Like, if I can tell you're an eBay nerd, then screw you. But like, if you're just a hardcore fan, man, that's the price of doing business for being a celebrity and having just a little inkling of fame. Like, you have to be nice to your fans. Because I know it's a very cliche thing to say, but because if it wasn't for those people buying tickets and buying your merch and doing that, you wouldn't be shit. So there is a level of, once you reach that, that's just the way it goes. But all the dick jackers, get them out of there. I don't support that.
You know, and that's when when the video came out with Rey Mysterio talking. I don't know if you guys saw him talking to all the autograph hounds.
Yeah.
The guy, when he was leaving, he said, "I'll sign for my fans." And the guy was like, "Well, I am a fan." He was like, "Okay, then I'll sign one for you."
Yeah.
That's why I'll sign one, which I get that.
Yeah. No, that's legit.
You're a fan. You deserve one. Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, I knew a guy who ran into Elias last time WWE was in MSG. He walked into a restaurant and Elias was eating. He just saw him and he just nodded, went on to eat. Elias came up to him because he respected him and said, "Hey, do you want to take a picture?" Because he realized, hey, you respected me. That's a cool thing to do.
That's
that's cool. That's very cool.
I have a story similar to that. I'm not going to tell it here, but you know, Chad and I worked at a record store in New York where there were very high-profile celebrities that would come in
every day.
And And I never once got a picture or an autograph from them. Never. I mean, it was, and it is kind of tough when you see, Dustin Hoffman come in your store, not to mark out and get a picture.
Oh, dude, Chris Rock was like an every other Tuesday new release guy.
Yeah.
He was in there. He lived in the neighborhood. He knew me by name because I was the merchandiser that put the new releases out. So he would come up to me and ask me what was new, what's worth getting. I saw him very, very regularly. Never once got a picture, never once got an autograph. I'm more of a picture guy than an autograph guy. I don't give a shit about an autograph. I would rather have, if I really care about the person, I would rather have my picture with them.
Yeah, I agree. Picture is a memory that lasts forever. Like I could write your name too. But
Right.
I have a couple of things signed, but I prefer that picture because you can post it on social media. You can live it. You can frame it if you want. Like it has more meaning to me to have a picture.
Yeah, Sneed will go up to people a lot quicker than I will. Like we go to a lot of shows and he can attest. I'm very I stand back. I'm weird about that shit. One of the few times where I was just a total fanboy was when I lived in LA. I would go to the New Bev Cinema, which Tarantino owns. Tarantino was there one night. He introduced a film. I stuck my hand out and I just said, I want you to know I love what you do. Huge fan. I just had to tell you that. He shook my hand. Thanks, man. And it was a passing thing. I didn't ask for a picture. I didn't ask for an autograph. I felt so
you had your moment.
I felt weird doing that. I don't want to put them out, but I just had to acknowledge him,
Yeah, I always feel weird too doing it, Chad. And I think a lot of it for me too is when I've worked in, working in music venues where I had to interact with artists a lot of the time. That's my job. I'm at work. I'm not, nobody ever told me that don't be a fanboy, but it's just fucking understood. If you're working in production, man, you're there to work for them. You're not there to tell them how cool you fucking think they are or anything like that. So sometimes I wish when I am just in a fan setting and say if I were to see Ricky Steamboat in a fucking airport, I would like to be able to muster up the courage just to go up and say, hey man, huge fan, and maybe ask for a picture. But it was just kind of ingrained into me early on when I was, working in that industry is you're just, they're your client and, that's what you're there for. I mean, I've gotten starstruck very, very few times. But yeah, I will say one of the coolest people I ever got to meet was Dave Chappelle. I got to drive him around in my personal vehicle one day.
That's awesome.
And bum him a cigarette and took him to a bar. He was a super fucking nice dude.
I think I just live by, I know they get that so much that at the end of the day, you're not impacting them for the most part in any way. You're just another face in the crowd. And I don't want to be a fucking mark. I don't want to be just one of those people that's I love that thing. You know what I mean? I hate that. And I think to really make an impact with those people, you have to be cool and you have to approach it a different way. And if you're just the come up with an autograph to have something signed, I don't know. I've never been that guy.
I came face to face with Sting at the hotel in Chicago in the morning. Nobody was in the hotel. And we almost walked into each other. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, oh, no worries. I'm like, have a good day. I don't think he even knew I realized who he was. Afterwards, I'm like, shit, nobody was there. But I couldn't bring myself to say anything to him because the guy's walking around the hotel. And he probably would have been fine if I said, hey, do you mind taking a quick selfie? Nobody was around, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it there. So,
I like to think that it's probably a breath of fresh air for them. When they, interact with somebody and they don't fan out on them, it's
right.
Cause they get that shit all the time.
Yeah, I think so. Just shows the
100%.
Just don't be a dick jacker, man.
Yeah. Don't be a neckbeard having dick jacker.
It's true, man.
Moral of the story, man.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick
jacker. Me and Sneed know, if you're cool, sometimes cool things can happen if you're a fan.
You just got to play it cool.
Play it cool. We've lived by that credo, going to shows, and we've had a pretty successful run of getting some cool things to happen, going on tour buses and becoming friends with bands that we idolized, all because we weren't fucking marks.
And now we're friends with a couple of guys who
put us on the VIP list. We get into shows anytime they're in town. And these are people that we listened to when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
And you got to find your in, man. Don't just be the guy that plays the SNL Chris Farley. Remember when you had that match at Mania?
It was cool.
It was cool. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool things can happen, man.
So true. Listen, I shot photographs for daytime television for years. Never marked out, and I have friends that came to my wedding now on soap operas. So,
Yep.
Now you're just name dropping. All right, we're wrapping it up.
I think,
Yeah.
like you said, Colton, I think it's refreshing for them because I think they're in this bubble where when someone just treats them like
A human
a
being.
human being, I think it's like this refreshing thing of it's not just about their celebrity. Like you're just talking to them like any normal Joe. I think that hits with them, especially when they're in these environments. It's not, I'm sure when they're at their house and the fucking plumber comes over to fix their sink, it's a very normal thing. But when they're at the airport, when they're at these venues, they're expecting to be bombarded with that. So when you meet someone that just treats them like a normal person in a setting they're not used to getting that treatment, I think it hits with them.
All right, man. Anybody have any final thoughts?
it's good to be back. That's my final thought. This was fun.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah, man. Good to have you back, Tom.
Yeah.
All right, Colton. Well, this is your spot now to get your shit in. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You guys can find me at mullet.mania on Instagram. Come on, give me a follow. And then also catch us on the Turnbuckle Tavern YouTube. Me and Ace, 10 p.m. on Thursdays. Honor Society recap and breaking down everything ROH Weekly TV. So, yeah, keep an eye out for us for Super Card of Honor, too. I think we're going to go live before the show and then do a wrap-up right after live as well. So, man, really just getting stoked for Mania weekend. So
That's awesome. No dick jackers allowed, by the way.
zero dick jackers allowed at Honor Society. Stay in your mom's basement.
All right. New shirt alert.
New shirt. I was about to say, I can sense a new shirt.
It's just got to say dick jackers with
the circle and the red.
and the red line. That's it. Be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout. It's coming.
All right, guys, that is going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. Make sure you guys are following theturnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. Be on the lookout for the new No Dick Jacker shirt. All right, Tom, it's been a while since I've been able to say it. Get your shit in.
Big Kid, Twitter and Instagram, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Fig Night. Me and Mike Belkacem.
All right. Court is dismissed.